All right, good evening, guys. Ken at Tortoise Capital Nightly Strategy Podcast for October 31st, 2023. So I cleaned up the diagram from yesterday on that communication model that talks about, you know, the challenges we have in being understood and understanding and why the biology and sociology of life contributes to that and what true storytelling and mindfulness and an accountability team that works with you can really do. And what I've added is the idea that um, this large blue circle represents the totality of your being, this forward of the red line being your conscious and left side being your unconscious. And your in your conscious mind where you are strictly constructing intentional communication. So that's an intention that you're trying to communicate that idea into your partner's intentional awareness, focused attention, but that they're in our conscious, there's also these outside of our area of focus, there's thinking and feeling going on that we are deliberately excluding from how we're phrasing and sending. But that the thinking and feel, I should say, the intentional message in this model now arrives with intention into their focused active listening. But it can also go into just their general conscious that they're maybe not mindful of, but they have sensed it but didn't remark. And it can also go deep into their unconscious. That's just our intentional sending. But that also the things like body language, elements of speech that we're not aware of and that they're not aware of, or maybe they're aware of it, they sense it but don't say anything, or it affects their unconscious. And then things from deep in our unconscious that we're totally unaware of are hitting them here and here and here. And that these things that are even on our side of the consciousness unconsciousness boundary, some of that is our unconscious, but then all of these other indirect things, culture, bias, history, our tribe, education, media, are affecting our feelings, our unconscious, our thinking. All of that's going on while we think, how could they misunderstand what I said? I mean, I said this thing. When you take a look at all of the other things going on, and oh, by the way, the noise from outside of you two, like this could be his buddy who's observing and reporting and sending him information, or maybe the media is observing what's going on and sending it into his intention, into his consciousness, into his unconscious, and is shaping our schools. So there's a lot of things going on. It makes you wonder how we ever get anything sorted out. And so this really emphasizes why communication itself can be so challenging and why you have a fighting chance. You at least have an edge if you're employing a tribe of accountability partners that are embracing the principles of true storytelling and are using something like the Johari window that we talked about yesterday to help us make the unconscious conscious and make the conscious intentional in the way that we communicate. And then do something about the long term indirect impacts on us and our tribe so that we can try to live courageously, which is to live an intentional life with full accountability. Yeah, when you take a look at this kind of rich soup, what is actually the truth? That's not even getting into, is there an objective truth out there that we can, from with our senses, even apprehend in its totality? And how big is it? And are we only seeing it from one side? And then can we tell the truth about the truth that we saw from one angle? Don't get me started on epistemology and ontology. I have my hands full with ethics and epistemology to a certain extent. But that's some of the challenges we have as pragmatic communicating social beings that rely so much on the social judgment of others and the social rewards and punishments of others, that communication that carries all that information, that all that social information is carried by language, written, spoken, visual, emotional, sign language, icons, music, all that. It makes truth an interesting topic of discussion. All right. Just wanted to update you on that model. All right, let's jump into the hybrid swing, 30 minutes. This is a continuation from Alcoa from yesterday. We just got the one position on. We let that run into the close, and then today it worked really well. I took the exit. I gave it a little more room, just treating it as the PSAR. And I'm really happy with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6R, 2 days. Let it have room to breathe and run. And the importance of the pattern, the emerging dragon pattern, when it had cleared all of those humps, the emerging dragon breakout, and continued to go with a standard risk box. It allows you to take advantage of temporary anomalies. AI, no trade. Amazon, no trade today. Yesterday we closed at, and there was nothing today. Caterpillar, there was a huge gap down, and so this is sort of just a, reinforcement of the idea of sometimes not carrying the gap overnight protects you against a 6, 7, a -8R that we didn't take. Sideways volatile, not the best time to be holding position. So we got the continuation. It rolled over, came back, took the scratch exit. When it hit the dragon and began to decay, I thought about it. Didn't take it because I was running out of time during the day, but there was a little bit of room there. That's more interesting for tomorrow. Cliff, we got an intraday gap and go on an emerging dragon gap, right? So here we are. The gap was here. It continued, so we took the risk. It ran up right away. Then when it came back to the edge of the dragon, exit. 1, 2. I'm very fond of that exit. Chevron, oh, massive goodness. There's something to be said for single position, relaxed PSAR. Notice the river goes from here to here to here. And now we've got the RL30, the owl pointing the way, the RL10, the 3 pieces of the dragon, the PSAR, and the river itself. All 6 of those pointing upwards. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5R in hand. And it's in the summer. Now it's coming to a decision point pretty soon. It's out of the Red River and it's come into the station. So we're going to see what it holds for tomorrow, but there's a good chance of one more burst. So we'll be ready for that. I like that one. Disney, this is an SSC, supported spring crossing, took it yesterday on the PSAR flip with a standard risk, holding 3R. Strong summer move. PSAR is handy. Just trail it with the PSAR. Dish, took an intraday run up. It came all the way back, and then I felt stupid. And then it tried one more run and then stalled, and I said, that's enough. And then missed the late app. That's 90 minutes, and I'm not really eager to chase it. After having that disappointment, I moved on. So that was about a quarter of an hour. Devon Energy, I am holding the SSC. It closed very well. When it closed at the peak of the RL10, I decided to give it a chance. It's got 1.5 an hour in it. Electronic Arts is holding 3R, stable. I like it. Emerging markets, we took the half an hour gain that was available, exited back by the VWAP and the skin of the dragon. So it did close well, but I don't want to chase that one overnight because of the typical gappy nature of EEM. So we took our little half an hour, went home. ETHE, this is just a standard K2, closed pretty well, 1 hour in hand. We'll see. Mexico, no trade. Brazil, no trade. Intel, yesterday's COTA 2 closed really well once it got going. It's interesting that it closed in such a tight little doji, but we're holding almost 4R. My stop is at the bottom of the dragon, and we'll give it a little bit of room to run because it's pushing above the peak of the RL10, so I like that one. And it's tech, so I'm expecting there to be some gains tomorrow in tech. International Paper took the 2R intraday play. IYR holding about 4R on the SSC. Had a really nice run up and it held all day and closed very well. Loving that one. Loving that one. It's above the previous peak of the RL10. That has a chance to really have a nice recovery. Coke, same thing. 4R and rolling. KRE, yesterday we held overnight. It came back. I just squeaked out a scratch with a sigh of relief and then missed the afternoon, the rest of the move, the rest of the day. Mattel, this is a little grinder, and if you look closely, there's a K2, and I said, why not? Its running buddies in real estate and regional banks weren't bad, so I tried Mattel. McDonald's, I tried the COTA 2, lost an R, and then missed the afternoon recovery. Merck took the collapsing dragon short for an R with a dragon exit. Microsoft, yesterday's emerging dragon, it's been grinding, but it actually closed better than it started. So I'm giving that one some room and as part of the tech play. Marijuana, massive. SSC, crossed the Bollinger Band main, turned to summer, closed well, holding 4R, and I'm liking it after that long slide. It's only 50% retracement to the 5-day high. That has a chance for some legs. NVIDIA, no trade, missed the morning hook. Clean Energy, we covered the short from yesterday, and then late in the day I just decided speculatively I'm going to try this as a COTA 2. Let me see. This felt like it had turned, and this was a COTA 2, and it was on the north side of the river, which was starting to turn. I'm trying to talk myself into it. Rivian, 1R in the usual way, SSC. The S&P was very strong today with a second leg up, and strong summer and a very strong close. Uh, Treasuries failing, that reinforces the equity side. Tesla, as part of the tech resurgence, that's a COTA 2, holding 1R overnight, and then U.S. Steel, and intraday 1R in the usual way. It was an emerging dragon, really didn't go anywhere, gave it two chances, and just decided to exit for 1R. Still above the Bollinger Band main, and the river is rising, so I'm not offended by the idea of re-entering tomorrow. All right, let's go to the sniper trade of the day. If you look carefully, it looks like an owl looking at you through binoculars. All right, this is a WMB3. So we're going to notice on 3-minute charts, and we're trading IYR, 3 minutes. This is an opportunity trade, and this is in the afternoon. And from this little peak up by the top of the RL10, it sold 1, 2, 3, 4, and closed down here, and that made a new low, and it's well below the belly of the RL10, so we're not surprised to see that hit oversold. At the same time, the MACD is already kind of in an uptick. So this is sort of like, this could be a tactical low that gives us an opportunity. So when we map it out, so the first step, I get the W, Williams percent R oversold. Then I come up. I find the first uptick. There it is. I come up to this one. That bar right there, I put an entry above here. The next bar breaks out without making a new low, so I just put a risk box on it, and I'm long this way. I'm looking for 1, 2. If those were, imagine if those were straight lines, or just draw it correctly the first time, Ken. So I wouldn't mind seeing that. And if this fails, I'd go short. Check or hold. Now, by this time, if I was looking for if I wanted to modify this rule set, because that's what you want to do, you know, then I might elect an SSC, because the RL10 is bottomed out. Oh, this is an execution risk, because the execution risk is defined as the pattern that gets me out. It has nothing to do yet with the position sizing. This is just, if this failed, that is the signal that tells me that this is not going up. It's not going up because it broke that. So the hypothesis is over. The theory broke. In the same way that if this one had fallen through that swing low, I would have said, okay, this thing is not going up. It failed. Now, if I know what the size of that is, I can actually come over here, and it turns out that a box of that size is even smaller. That the R10 is approximately like this. So the execution risk, this turned out to be where the execution risk equaled the R10 value, which is 1/10 of the range stat. But this is one where it's even smaller. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the R10 equal to a 0.2 R for position sizing. So that means if I'm not going to exit inside the noise, I'm going to wait for that thing to actually violate out the bottom. And if it does, there's no reason to stay any longer because I got the price pattern signal that says the hypothesis has failed. In the same way that if price falls through the PSAR, I have an affirmative signal that the experiment has failed. That is what we mean by execution risk. A positive affirmative signal according to the theory of the trade that says the hypothesis has failed and that you should exit. Once you know that, then you can go to step 2, which is what's my position sizing risk? And then the third step, how much money per trade should I risk on that? The first thing is, what's the execution risk? What is the logic of the trade? If that is my execution risk, do I have at least 2 units of reward to a reasonable price target? Yes, I do. The top of the channel is a reasonable price target. So this is a qualified trade frame. If you decided to wait for the SSC, here's your PSAR flip. It's come through the dragon. You're entering vicinity the Bollinger Band mean instead of at the bottom of the channel. But you have the R10 has reversed and it's making it through the PSAR, so you feel like you're on the right side of value and you still have a target to get to. So I'm going to say, right now that price in this bar, price is right here. And your stop, we're going to say that you entered here. Your stop could be here, 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 or here. Or you could exit. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. If you exit at 5, then you have a scratch. So in the chat box, commit to the stop placement that you want. Remembering that price is right here, right? It has come back to your entry. So, MM, you're just going to scratch that trade. Why did you take the trade at all then? That's the first sign, the first price that you have any evidence that this thing is failing is down here. So this is an entry on potential, and you exit at the first sign of not success. So why even take the trade? I believe that if you take that trade from here, that's the first place you get out. Now, if you had taken this one, then I agree. I think that's probably what I told you too. I'm sorry. Then you locked in an R. So I'm not offended if you do that. If you get out here, you lock in 1 R. I take it all back. But if you had gotten in on this one, I would say don't get out here. Yeah, I'm sorry. My bad. So, all right, hose that one up. So now, let's take a look at the. This is the situation you find yourself in. And you notice that your price, which is now here, has cleared the peak of the RL10, and it just went into summer, and your MACD is just above the zero line, and you are well above overbought. So your stops could be halfway down the open bar, one bar low, edge of the dragon, spine of the dragon, and also the two bar low, and the Bollinger Band mean. Southern skin of the dragon, belly of the dragon, PSAR, PSAR split. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 if you want to just cash that. Good problem to have, yes? If you don't say 7, I'm just going to wonder why. I could even almost understand 8. The real question is second position? No, we're at 3 o'clock. We still got an hour. There's 10 more bars. So I would not be offended if you had taken this. If you had taken this, or this, or this, or this, or that. So somewhere in and around in here, we should have something like 3.5R. If you were really aggressive, there's actually, just for purposes of instruction, oversold, uptick, breakout, risk box, closed here. You might have exited anywhere from here to here. But you probably would have done this. You probably would have gotten out right about there. But that's really late in the day. So don't be doing that at 3:45. All right, traders. All right, Rajiv. Um, so let's see here. This is supposed to fail right away. Mark that as your exit. If that's a minus, I have to come over here to figure out that was a -1R. So show your work. That should be a stop and reverse. You won't lose money. And then here's a kata 2. And then with the stop down here, you get that whole trade. I think this was your entry and that this was your exit because you got 1R and it allowed you to get to scratch for the day. But if you just let that be what it is, you'd get a little bit more. There's another kata 2 there. There's a kata 2 there. Note this one, I want you to come down to here. The harsh winter is over and it's starting to work. Stop and reverse, kata 2. Sorry. Oops. Brian. What in the world? That was strange. All right, so we have a PSAR flip, kata 2, 2R. Tries the short quick cut, stop and reverse, 1.3 to offset the loss. Nets 2.4, 25R in the last, 50 trades. And that's not even getting the big move of the day. Good work. Now, George, this is better. Keep these in a trade log. That's good on multiple levels. Not only are you not trading, you're also affirmatively acting. This is what I would say. I think I would make that an action. You could do that because you're not even going to do anything different except go to the gym. How about just review your notes tomorrow before? That's not a stretch. It's a little stretch. And then what's your accountability? That means you owe us a statement that was yes or no. You did that or didn't do it. So here's what I want you to do now, and all you guys within the sound of my voice. If you put something in the action column to fix tomorrow, I want you to have a weekly check sheet Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and you just write down the thing that you said you were going to do, and then tomorrow is what, Wednesday? And then tomorrow, if you did it, that's a green dot. If you don't do cardio tomorrow, then that's a red dot. I want to see what your score is on your committed actions. And we will be your accountability partner. So now you got to add that in a running list of the things that you said that you were going to do each week. Did you do the things that you said that you would do? And then keep score. Your best possible score is 5 out of 5. Since you just started this week, it could be 3 out of 3. Some of these things, that's good. That's an action. When you're ready to increase, put that over there. All right, so you get the idea. Re-entry is the key to sanity. Now, notice that you got out in the noise. You got out in the noise, whereas if you just Trust the PSAR. You get that whole move, and then when the R10 rolls over, you could exit at the edge of the dragon. Make that a rule if you like it, and then you get to capture this instead of a micro scratch, and then you'd have money in hand, and you could take this as an SSC. It's crossing the VWAP. Holy smokes. That's okay. That's okay. When this rejects the VWAP, get paid a little bit. Yeah, George, you don't get credit for tomorrow by going to the gym today. You committed tonight to going to the gym tomorrow, so you got to go to the gym tomorrow too. Perfect, reasonable. This should be a stop and reverse, especially when that crosses the PSAR. Holy smokes! God dang it, we're leaving a lot on the money, a lot of money on the table. I want you to start marking up all the patterns you see, not just the ones you took, but you got to start seeing the things that are there and decide why you're not taking them. That could be your trading plan, but you need to start seeing them so you can see what the size of those moves are. Um, Reasonable, great exit. That could be a stop and reverse. We missed the collapsing dragon here. We talked about this pattern. So you got a strong move up. It makes a high. It comes down, makes a low, makes a lower high. That's your 1, 2, 3. You could be short here. You could be short here. You could be short there. Those are 3 standard patterns. And you wouldn't lose money on this. You don't even exit till you get out here. That's a collapsing dragon. I like it. I love these, though. Here's a Kata 2. Here's a Kata 2. There's a collapsing dragon. Label them. I want you to label every collapsing dragon you see, whether you take it or not. Perfect, great re-entry. Now, what's the score on these? What is the score? 3, 1.5, 1 scratch. Those 2 scratch. So that's about 5.5. Where are we here? That was a 2R potential there. Stop and reverse. When 2 shorts in a row fails, stop and reverse, it's holding at the VWAP. It's holding at the VWAP. We should be getting those. Put your name on it. Agree with all that. Agree with that. This is Hamad. Gets paid. Gets paid. Quick scratch. 2 positions long. Gets paid. Scratch, scratch. Gets paid. Gets paid. Gets paid. 1.5. Good. Good stuff. Important discovery. Now commit to the accountability. We want to know tomorrow if you abided by your statement. Did you? Will you? Yeah, it's just percent move and alerts. You set, if this thing is in a yellow zone here and you say, this is my signal to get long, when it goes through there, that should trigger an alert, and that's how you find the mover. You got to set the alerts based on stalking. Stalking, frame it ahead of time, frame it before you need it, and then when it breaks out of your box, that should be the alert that lets you find the mover. Go back through the last month, which 100 hours of video. Count how many times I said set alerts. Answer, more than 20. You don't have to do that. I did it for you 20 times. Now, 8.6 for the day. So I'm going to, and you put like 20 charts in here, so I'm going to grind through this pretty fast. Stayed out of the grind, you keep firing. Second position, got paid, big check. Where is my stop and reverse? This could have been 15R instead of 8 because the size of this move up is the size of that move down. You know, if you're just looking at EWZ, how can you not see the movers at some point? You know, that's another way to find the movers is to watch them. Just saying. Failure, stop and reverse, anybody? PSAR flip. Breaks through the VWAP. I should be short here. Cut, you should be long there. With a stop here, you get that entire move with a second position, third position. Let's see. The Kata 2 here, you got a low, you got a higher low. The VWAP is holding. The dragon has turned. The PSAR flipped. I should be long right there. Cut it. Probably would have re-entered there and cut it. Might have gone short and cut it. Got long here and owned that. So we should do better than that, or could do better than that, with perfect play. Whoops. Oh, I may have just zeroed one out. Kata 2 was late. Collapsing Dragon was late. Not taken. Still pretty good work. Here I am beating you up for an 8.5 hour day. Good problem to have. Much better. I think you gave back way too much. Look at, you got that extension, and it comes back down here. I think you should be getting out right at the skin of the dragon. After an extraordinary run up and no follow through, I think you should be getting out there and then re-entering here, which pays off. Perfect. I'd probably get out here and try to re-enter here. Still looking pretty good. That's fine. Good save. I like the short. I'd stop and reverse. I think you should get out of that sooner. It's supposed to fail right away. It didn't. And then you stayed out of the chop. That's good. Kata 2 was slow. It's really an emerging dragon. The Kata 2 is down in here. That's the emerging dragon. That's still pretty good. So over 8R for the day. You can make a living on that, especially when with better technique and practice, you'll be pulling in 15 and 20 on that. Really nice work, Mark. Here's what you got to do. You're trading so much that you need to get the spreadsheet and then start capturing your daily, just your daily captures, and then running the stats over here on that trade log .xls. You'll find it in Campfire. Start doing those and start cranking out your histograms. All right, daily report. Godzilla is working. This is just something I would have you notice. On this one, I've marked out some key price locations. I should probably have done probably that one as well. But this is where the R10 crossed the RL30. It's also where the Dragon turned and the R10 turned, right? R10 turns at the Bollinger Band main. This is where the RL10 breaks through the collapsing Dragon. Leg 1, leg 2. Here's where it turned. Today's the second day up. This is the next test on the far side of the Dragon. Then the Bollinger Band main, 5-day high. And then the peak of the RL10. So that's looking pretty good. Here's our yellow zone. Long, short, standard risk. Here's the collapsing Dragon. We want to be short south of 411. That should be automatic in your head. Those 3 circles that I drew, this is what they look like on the 30-minute. That was the turning point. This is where it crossed that 0 line. And this is where it turned. It's amazing how those key points look like consolidation zones. And then failure to fail is information. And here's today's range. So short, second short. Sideways volatile, a 2-day bump, but weakness in the mid-range. Lots of auto framers. Caterpillar, big collapse today. Verizon was pretty good, as was Intel. Intel has the juice in tech. You know, the difference in tech is that Intel was good, NVIDIA was terrible. Caterpillar was down 7% today. Can that remain true for a long time? I don't think so. Lots of auto framers in the ETFs. Buyer's market on the second day of recovery for the auto framer. Dominated by the winter still. NDX, Intel, Cliff, US Steel. That's where the juice is. Trading value, marijuana, Tesla, uranium, clean energy, NVIDIA. All right, guys, that's everything for today. We'll get this published and posted and crush it tomorrow. Keep up the good work. You're going to notice an improvement in your mental state when you continue to mark up the daily after action review. Get into that discipline. Find an efficient way to do that. I would use Dragon Naturally Speaking and dictate those notes so that you don't burn yourself out typing a lot of words. All right, fellas, that's all I got. See you tomorrow.